Welcome to URL Unzip, Reboot and Leave, a podcast about the psychology of everything. Through real conversations with thinkers, doers, and seekers, we explore how humans adapt, evolve, and thrive across migration, entrepreneurship, healing, culture, and the search of meaning. So let's unzip, reboot, and leave. Today we have someone who is currently Executive Director of Birla Institute of Scientific Research. He is ex-professor at IIT Delhi in biotechnology. He authored more than 30 books in English, Bengali, and Hindi. Please welcome Professor Purnendu Ghosh. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much for a very brief and apt introduction. And I'm very happy to meet you, perhaps for the first time.
Yes.
And I hope that we are going to meet more often. And I'm very happy that, but because meeting you and seeing you on the screen brings me back to my Melbourne days. And when I was in Melbourne and at the University of Melbourne in the Department of Chemical Engineering, many years ago, when you were not born,
Yes.
most probably. And so it is very nice that I'm talking to you. And yes, please tell me.
Okay. Then, thank you. Thank you, sir, for your time. So, as I told you, you have wrote more than 30 books. Today, we will specifically talk about one book, which is Neural Suitcase. The book is about mind. So, as if I'm a student of you and asking you about these questions because you understood, you experienced, you've gone through, you wrote, you read a lot about mind. So, first question, what is mind and where is it?
You asked the most difficult question, the first question.
Okay.
When I remember my going to the classroom, and my let me go back to my time also. When I was assigned, my first course was on mass and energy balance in chemical engineering. That was the first course which I took. I remember when I went to the class, and because this is the most fundamental course on chemical engineering. So you have asked the most fundamental question, but the most difficult question: what is mind? Unfortunately, I don't have a very clear answer. Why? What I understand by mind is that, though my background is in chemical engineering and biotechnology, but I have a lot of fascination for this subject, because I believe that mind does everything, and if you have a very strong mind, then you can do anything, And what I felt was that the question arises that what is mind? It is like question is like what is God? Something like that. You have not seen God, but some people have faith in God, and they think they can do many things with God, and God is there with them all the time. I believe that mind is something very important. Mind is assisted by our brain. But where mind is located, where it is located inside the body or outside the body, what happens and all that, I definitely believe mind is something. If brain is not there, I don't think mind has any role, something like that. So if it is switched off, then mind is switched off. And that is one of the things that a person is dead when his brain is dead. And that is the signal. So similarly, something like that. So I always think I'm very fascinated with the area called mind. I tell you, mind is such a thing, it changes. Today, I'm talking to you. Before coming to you, I was thinking why I agreed to your talk, agreed to come to you, why I should interact with you. And then I asked myself, why did I agree then? I said, I agreed because that point of time, my mind was telling that I should talk to you. And I did not know what I'm going to talk. I did not know on what subject you are going to talk to me. I simply knew that you are going to talk to me. I said, I like conversation, I will do. What is the problem? So, and then when I was coming here, I suddenly realized when I was in the car and I was coming to my work, and I suddenly realized, why did I say, Gautam, yes, I should not have done this thing because I'm not doing these things nowadays. I don't go to the classroom. I don't go and give invited lectures and all that because I have my own world. I live my own way and all that. I only write. I only read. And I do my other things, professional activities and all that. Then, when I stepped down from the car, I said, I'm going to switch on the this thing, laptop or whatever it is, and I'm going to face you. And you are going to ask me some questions. And maybe I will be exposed. I don't know anything. I don't know what is mind. I don't know what mind is something that is existing. Mind is something which is governed by many things, not only brain. It is your psychology, it is your philosophy, so many other things. And the most important thing is mind is something which is governed by other minds. Your mind changes suddenly. Then I realize if Gautam thinks that I can talk to him, then I can talk to him. I will give an example. I was professor in IIT. I sat in so many interviews in my life for the past 50 years. I am doing that. Many times, my director at IIT used to tell me as a selection committee member, Dr. Ghosh, we have to select the best. That is what all directors say. Then I realized he is telling me to select the best, but I am not the best. How can I select the best? Then suddenly I also realized, if I am not the best, why did he select me to take this interview? Gautam has chosen me to talk to me. I must be deserving. And that is the whole thing. And that suddenly gave me some confidence, And if I'm talking to you, it is because of that confidence. And from that confidence, from where it is coming?
So is it
Mind.
the memory then?
Absolutely. Memory is a part of mind. Memory is not everything. Memory is a part of mind. Mind is a much bigger thing, Mind has so many other things. But without memory, there is no mind. Without memory, there is no existence. Without memory, though there is no identity. You don't know. If you are calling me Purnendu Ghosh, if I don't have the memory that somebody gave me this name, I will be looking here and there. So without memory is very, very important. And people say even a bad memory is good memory. There is a big book on this, that memory sins. It tells you about different kinds of sins memory commits. And they are so useful for you. That's the point, Actually, if your mind is a bad mind or if your mind is a good mind, first thing is that good and bad are very relative terms, Something is good for me, something is bad for you, something like that. So I think it's very, very important. Mind's very, very important component is memory. And if you lose your memory, for example, you are lapata. So, Kalidhar Lapata. Currently, a film is being shown in Indian TV. Kalidhar Lapata. He loses his mind. He doesn't know who he is. He'll come back. He will come back. Everybody comes back. Something like that.
So, okay. So then, does your mind create your identity, or the other way around? The identity, what you cling into, that kind of gives to make your mind calm and soothing, that creates the identity.
You know, I personally believe that although we like to call ourselves, particularly Western people, they like to call themselves individual. We are all collectives, We are all collective. We have no entity called we are individual. If you are an individual in an island, nobody recognizes you. You are nobody. Once you are in a society, people, that's a very, very different thing. So I believe that if there are not others, if there are no other mind is there, my mind has no value. Well, suppose I'm a teacher. I go to the classroom and I don't find any student. There are no takers. Only giver is there. What I'm going to do with that? So point is that my everything, my identity, who has created my identity? My students. As a teacher, who has created my identity? My students, not me. I might go and everybody might go and tell people that I am a teacher, I am a teacher. But your identity is established by your students, That actually, and I personally believe, I have, when I was a professor in IIT, and I used to have a class of 40 students. And for 25 reference letters, I used to write every year. Many of my students are in United States, in Australia, and so many other places, And I have been to all these places, I have lived there. I am still interacting with them. And personally, today, I feel I recognize them as my teachers, This other way, role reversal. I was their teacher, but today they are my teachers, And this role reversal, whenever I have some problem, I go to my students, Yeah, mera problem ye ho gaya. If I like some film, I like films, I like films like anything, I like a particular film, I like a particular screenplay, I like a particular shot. I will go to my student and tell them, yeah, I talk to my children, for example, my son, my daughter, my wife. And I try to get my feedback, not for them, for myself, what I was thinking, whether I was right or wrong. This is the kind of thing, And these things, and who governs all this thinking process? Your mind. That's the point.
So then, brain, which is, let's say, an engine, okay, which is basically creating all these or whatever. Is there any particular part of it? Like what part of brain governs, let's say, emotion? Emotion is an expression of mind or a manifestation of mind. So what part of brain governs that? We like in layman's word, we say left brain, right brain. Is that mind, or how you define that?
You see, I define mind, as I told you, I define mind in three ways. One is scientific way, which you are asking me. Which part of the brain clicks when you are emotional? Which part of a mother's mind works? A teacher's mind works? That is what I have written in my book. What I did was that when I was writing this book, I included all these things. I went very deep into biology part. And hippocampus, this thing, amygdala, and all these things, I said left brain, right brain, and all that. But then I realized that it is very difficult for me to remember all these things, which part is working, which part is not working when I am doing a certain thing. For example, if I'm raising my hand, which part of my brain is working? If I'm raising this hand, which part is working? Then but as far as understanding is concerned, as far as there was no problem. I understood that if I want to understand which part, emotion, a particular kind of emotion, if it is happening, which part is working, I can find out. This is available, plenty is available in the literature. But then I realized one thing. Suppose I am unhappy or I'm very happy. I don't think that part must be working. That is why I am happy. I don't care, I don't care. And I don't want to care, because the moment I think that I am happy because that part is working, I am confused. I become very conscious. I will not be able to take any decision. My happiness will go, and I will start thinking, oh, in which book I read this thing, I'm not a practical scientist, that I have not seen putting instruments that this part was working, the light is on, because when I was happy, I have not done that, but people are there. Now, the best thing is that the science has developed so much. Like genomic science has developed so much, like connectomes have developed so much, that is connecting all neurons and synapses and all that has developed so much. You can understand or study everything. What I'm trying to tell you is that my interest is not there, but if I really want to, suppose, for example, Gautam gives me a project, the Purnendu, you study this aspect biologically and tell me. I will be able to do that. I will be able to do that with my background and all that, with a little bit of studying and consulting some neuroscientists and all that. I will be able to do that. Now you will tell Purnendu, psychologically how you think, or philosophically how you think. I can also do them. Though I am not a neuroscientist, I am not a psychologist, I am not a what is that, the third thing? Psychologist, neuroscientist, or philosopher. The point I'm trying to tell is that, but I am more into it, that if you ask me psychologically or philosophically, because they are more connected with life, everyday life, psychology and philosophy. Biology is connected when you are not well and get everyday life, otherwise who studies biology, I'm not talking about biotechnology, which is for a particular purpose, no, something very different. So this is my state of mind, I want to study, for example, if you ask me, for example, in my neural suitcase, I've written about a mother's mind, for example. I can deal it in 3 different ways, but can do that if I wish to, but I will prefer doing this in some other way, which is more practical way, whose results I can see in everyday life, as a practical scientist, not a theoretical model.
How you define thinking?
Thinking and emotion.
Thinking and emotion.
Yeah. You see, it is a question of your sensibility. I believe there are 5 senses, we all know. But I also believe that there is another sense called 6th sense, who is the policeman of all the senses. And the most important sense for me is common sense, which covers all the senses. So when we're talking about thinking and vis-a-vis this, I think if you are talking to me, Gautam is talking to Purnendu Ghosh without any emotions, that talk has no meaning. That means you are just ordering me. You are ordering me, you have to do this. I will do it. But today, when you are talking to me, you are not ordering me. It is my wish that I have come to you, or you have come to me. It is not that I wish you come to me, or you wish that I come to you. Not that. Until and unless you might ask me, what is that emotion? My emotion for you, because I did not know you. Did I know you? No, I did not know you. Why did I agree? When you called me, I agreed. Why did I agree? There were 2 things. and they are related to emotion. First thing is, I was in Melbourne, you are from Melbourne, and you are Oshim's friend. These two things clicked, and I said, yes, I am going to talk to you, and this talk may not lead us anywhere, but I will know Gautam. I don't care what if people know me or not, but I care that if I talk to Gautam for some time and I feel good, that is emotion. Emotion is not simply you get a good message and you start laughing and smiling or whatever, or you start crying and all that. Emotions are these things also. Emotion is a very big definition. And you just think about me. If you are talking to a total stranger, you are talking to a stranger, but there is a rider. That stranger is not total stranger. You know that somewhere his roots and my roots come from the same place. That is one. There's also an emotion, And then you are talking about. When I talked to you, suddenly I remembered all our Melbourne days. When we used to take lunch together, me, Oshim, and Madhukar, for example. Madhukar is currently working for Reliance. And when I thought of of those days when I was very young, and we used to talk so many different things. These are, if there was no emotion in those days, attached to those days, I would not have thought of those. So it is very, very important for anybody, if you are simply talking without any emotions, And I tell you, Gautam, I can talk to you for hours on this subject, because I personally feel that my personal, whatever I'm telling you is my personal views, What I think is that until and unless I know a person, until and unless I know my student, not he is a topper and he has come from this background or he is going somewhere else, he is doing very well or very bad. These are important. But many other things are very, very important. And you get emotionally attached to some person. That I will start thinking, when he was my student, the way we used to kind of eat together, when we used to play cricket together, when we used to talk about films together. These are also very, very important when you are connected with someone. Gautam, I will not know you if we stop here and tell you wanted to understand what is mind, and Dr. Ghosh did not tell me anything about mind, excepting his philosophy of life. But this is very important for me. This is very important for me. It is very important that I know you much more than what I know you today. I want to know you in a different ways, in ways which maybe, Gautam, I tell you,
it will differ or more than transactional.
Yes, deeper and more transactional. Sometimes, Gautam, I tell you, I started writing, and I'm going back maybe 15, 20 years. 20 years. My mother was very sick. She was dying. I went from Jaipur to Kanpur. I am from Kanpur. I went from Jaipur to Kanpur, and I sat beside my mother for 3 days. She could not speak to me. She was unable to speak, She could not speak to me. She could only see me. I could only see her. I did not ask her any questions, But I felt as if my mother is talking to me about our relationship, about our days, good old days, how we did everything together. And I felt that she is telling me and I'm telling her. And the kind of bond that created, after 3 days, I came back. I came back and I wrote my first note of my meeting my mother, where I did not exchange any words, but they were all vibes going through our minds. We are reaching some other mind, and that gave me a kind of satisfaction. Gautam, I can't tell you that I felt as if I showed it to so few people. I showed it to my father-in-law, and my father-in-law had the impression I am only a professor. I understand only chemical engineering and biotechnology. I get projects. I go to Melbourne, New York, California, Germany, and all these places. But he had no idea that the kind of emotions everybody has, but I can express them in a form which is understood by everybody. And that made the whole thing. I started writing, Gautam. I started writing. So
Now,
these are,
yeah. So, sir, you talked about these good emotions, okay, with your mother, about like when we first time talked and all these things. The other side of it is trauma, neglect, disrespect, deep wound. Okay, so it's the same spectrum. The other side, like why those things hurt so much, or how we differentiate this is good, this is bad.
you see, again, I have never thought about these things in this way. That what is, because we are we experience so many different kinds of emotion, and no one tells us that this is good emotion or this is bad. We know that this is a good emotion, this is a bad emotion. My point is very simple. Here, if I am getting a bad emotion, which everyone gets, one feels very bad at a particular situation. Sometimes it aggravates. Sometimes someone is there who tells you that don't worry so much about this thing. And your mind accepts the suggestion. This is for you for your good. Sometimes what happens is that I'm relating many of my stories with you, And when I was a student, I did not join engineering. Before that, I was coming from Allahabad to Kanpur. And it is a 4-hour journey, as you know, by train. And I got my result at Allahabad station. They used to come on a newspaper. And I saw that I failed. I got a compartment. That means if you appear again, you can get through. I did not do well, but I was not expecting that I will fail, because I thought that fail is, I'm totally useless, that I failed. And I came back to my compartment, and I told my mother, Ma, I failed. And I was shocked. But she did not show her displeasure to me. Oh, what kind of a student you are, and you have done this thing, that thing, you are a bad student, and all that. She did not tell me anything. She kept quiet. I kept quiet. The journey continued for 4 hours. I came back while I was entering my home. I told Ma, I will not appear in the compartment exam. I want to appear again in the exam. My mother said, who stops you? I said, Ma, The problem is no one stops me, but my family will not be very happy if I don't appear in the compartment, because this is a chance for me to get through. I am taking 1 year more to get through. My mother said, no, you have decided that you must have decided after some thoughts, you must have thought something about you. So far, you have not thought anything about you. Today, you are thinking about you. And she said, you go ahead and rest of them I'll take care. If somebody asks in the family, I will explain to them. That is not your problem. Your problem is you appear for the next year. And I appeared in the next exam after 1 year. And I did so well. I became an engineer from a bank clerk. If I had appeared in that compartment exam, I would have become somebody, But I have become somebody. I'm not saying that somebody is very big. What the whole thing changed if I had not got the support. If my mother's mind did not work that time, that way, I would not have become what I am today. So this is what I'm telling you. These are very, very important in somebody's life. It is very, very important. And there is all kinds of things. I always felt, and these things did not come to me. These things came to me very, very late in life when I started writing. When I was writing, when I was talking to my mother, I was thinking about my mother, these things came to my mind. So these things are very, very important. And I think this is self-analysis. This is self-analysis. And I personally believe it is out of turn thing. I believe as a teacher, a student should be given an opportunity for self-evaluation. That should be graded. Suppose he is self-evaluating himself and he gives him or her A grade, that is part of your transcript. That is part of your transcript. You might think that this idea is absolutely not possible because the world is made of very different kinds of minds. But I believe that at least some part of it, that you have an opportunity of self-evaluation. And believe me, when you are self-evaluating yourself, sometimes you are very honest. More honest than when you are evaluating others. There are so many things. Here also there are so many things. Bias is there. There are so many things. There are so many things there also. But at least you have been given an opportunity, which is a very different thing. As I told you, if I am a teacher now, I will do my teaching a very, very different way. What I have done in all my
because
life.
Your mind kind of changed in all these years.
Mind has changed. And I must.
Yeah. So then, sir, like how creativity happens?
See, creativity, one thing I can tell you, some people say that he is very creative. He just out of hat, he thought about this thing. Nobody thinks out of hat. It is a very long process. It was accumulating in your mind. It has come out at that moment. The creativity also goes through a long process, So many ideas come, many ideas go, and all that. For example, when you are writing, when I used to write for a newspaper, I used to write something like 2,000, 3,000 words. But my column size was 600 words. I had to then cut it. So I used to remove all these things, and then I made it to kind of a 600-word article. Similarly, what happens is that any creative process goes through a lot of churning. And what we come to know, there is a very creative process, and because you are giving those 600 words. So I don't know, I have read a lot of books on biology as well as philosophy and psychology, how this creative process works. There are many, many good books, I have with me. And they tell you to how to think. But I will not be able to tell you that if you are given this atmosphere, if you are like when you are growing a microorganism, if you are giving this atmosphere, if you are maintaining this pH or temperature or humidity or this thing or that thing, then it is going to grow best. I can't tell you, nor I know that if you give a person, if you enclose a person in an atmosphere and giving everything which is needed for creativity, and he will be a creative person. Not that. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Yes, scientifically, if you want to do it, you can always do that. Because science is made to prove something or disprove something, And fortunately, you have all kinds of instruments available at your doorstep. You can use them. But my feeling is that suppose every morning I get an idea. And if I tell that idea just sprang when I was in the bathroom, no. It was churning in my mind maybe day before, or maybe many days before, or maybe immediately in the night. And then I just go to the bathroom, and then suddenly this idea comes. I write one line, and then I write maybe 600 words. For example, today I have sent something about teacher. Whatever came to me in the night, I just wrote it down and just sent it to some of my friends. And this is how, and now the question is that sometimes creativity also comes like that. Something, for example, today's, whatever I have written, you might call it, you are a very creative person. Because your mind says, I am a creative person. The other mind says, yeah, what is this bullshit he has written in the morning? Why should I read? What is the teacher? He is not a creative person at all. But for you, I am a creative person. So creativity, everything in this world is very subjective, I have seen many Satyajit Ray films, and he is my God. I love his films. When I love his films, and someone tells me anything about Satyajit Ray film, bad thing about Satyajit film, I think that he doesn't know anything. But he has his point of view. A person is sitting and on a chair and just आगे पीछे नहीं होच्छे. He says, what is this happening? For 5 minutes he's showing this. But I feel that is a creativity for me. No, what can you do? So these questions are, everything is in this world is relative. Some people get the tag. Some people become very popular. Some people don't become popular. Not those people who are very popular doesn't mean they have done something very good. They are popular for their own different reasons, They could appeal the minds of so many people. So this is actually, you may not be getting any straight answer from me because I'm totally confused. I'm totally confused.
Okay, in your book, you talked about mind and time. Okay, so does the mind really perceive time, or does it only feel its consequences?
Mind perceives time. Because for example, the best example is given by Bipin Chandra Pal in a very, very old book, 1930 book. And I have read something about mind and the perception of time and all these things from a Japanese author also. And I find that, and Western authors also, they say it's the geography of thought. That means a Western mind thinks straight, whereas an Indian mind or Eastern mind thinks in circular way. You talk to them about one thing, that the way I'm talking to you, you are asking me something, I'm going somewhere else. Eastern mind, it goes on and again comes back to the same point. Whereas a Western mind, in general, I'm talking to you, not everyone, straight away, you have cancer. You are going to die for 4 days. You are going to live for 4 days. So enjoy life in 4 days. This is the Western mind, Eastern mind, beta, you have a lot of time, enjoy life. I know life is full of this thing, roses and all that. The person knows that he's going to die in 4 days. But somebody is telling you, giving you a very rosy picture. You are dying in both the cases. So this is the way. So similarly, circular perception of time is also like that. This 4 days, for one is different, for another it is different. For one, it is never ending. For one, it has come so soon. And this is what we call, example is given. An Indian, whenever he meets someone, he says, meeting after ages, You will be surprised that I met him just last week. And he's telling you meeting after ages. He is not telling you anything, any lie. This is a perception of time. This 1 week is so much for him that he has not met you. That you think that meeting after ages, and there are some people whom you kind of meet, you have met, and again you are meeting, but you don't like him. You just don't want to meet him. The perception of time in these two situations are very different. And this perception of time and mind, extremely good experiments have been done by a person. He's a doctor, and his wife was not well. And he was sitting next to his wife. Sometimes his wife will say half an hour, as if you are, where were you? I did not see you no, where were you? I have not seen your days. Other time, you don't have any work. Why are you sitting all the time here? And then that clicked in his mind, This is perception of time governs your mind, that you start thinking the mind is so much, something like that. And then they did a lot of work, and then many people have done a lot of work, and now everyone knows that time, if it is a good time, it goes very fast. If it is a bad time, it moves very, very slowly. And that is the whole thing that happens.
Then why do we spend so much of our waking life thinking about something other than present moment, either in the past or in the future? Why that phenomena happens?
This phenomena is very common phenomena. It has been done, research has been done on this, and people say around 70% of your time, you think something which you are not concerned with. Now, I think why this happens. I think what happens is that we are never happy with what we have. We want to think beyond that. what I called coefficient of satisfaction. It is a ratio of things which you want to do and things you have completed. Other way. Your things you want to do is always more than things you have completed. The same logic applies here. Whatever I was thinking about myself around me, maybe I should also think about many other things, because you don't know what is going to happen. We start thinking about many other things. And that, that is why we are most of the time in other things than the things which we are doing. For example, you are writing. You are writing on, say, mind. You start writing on mind. And suddenly you will see that you stop writing. You are start thinking something very different. You are not writing about mind. You suddenly realize that no, I was writing about mind. And let me continue with that. So this is what happens, And I think everyone experiences this thing. You must have experienced this thing every day. That your mind, those who can, if you cannot dream, it is very bad. Every mind should be able to dream, A mind that cannot dream, that cannot imagine, is no mind. And I think that is the reason. I will give you a very simple example in another area. We were kind of, when we started, the civilization started and all that, we used to take a lot of time to eat, to chew the bone and all that, this thing and all that. We used to take a whole day and all that. Then we thought that we are spending so much time on eating and doing all these things. Why don't we reduce this time and do something else? Then the cooking started, fire started. The fire started, cooking started. That saved a lot of our time. Then what happens is that when you are saving a lot of time eating and all that, where are you going to spend that time? You have to spend that time somewhere else. Then you started using that time in building your mind, your thinking process. The size of your brain increased. You save time here, you gained there.
Yeah.
Something of that kind, And that is why I am just telling you, education, don't call it chemical engineering or mechanical engineering or information technology. All education needs to add the interdisciplinary education. That is the only solution I can tell you. And it's very difficult to give that kind of education. But ultimately, this is what we are doing. Yeah. Are we doing chemical engineering or biotechnology or mechanical engineering or computer science? We are doing interdisciplinary education, following interdisciplinary education. We are taking so many things from so many other areas. And that is what I think our mind does. Each pocket does their job. Each pocket of brain does their job. But there is a connector, that connectome is our mind, that connects everything, and we think. And every mind, every connection, the strength of their connection and all that can be very strong, can be very weak also. That will also affect our decision. This I am not telling you that from theory and all that. I'm just as I'm talking to you, it is coming to my mind,
You also talk about that when you grow older with age, time feels time feels faster it's going? Is it the mind's memory compression or emotional drift, or you don't want to psychologically keep that portion of that life in your mind? Why time feels faster as you age?
See, this phase I'm going through, I am in my fourth phase, where I feel I have no problem with death. That one should not have any problem with death because you are going to die today or tomorrow. My problem is again the mind. I want to do many. My problem is that still want to do many things. Many people don't want to do many things and they are very happy. I still want to do many things. 6 books I am writing right now. I want to complete them. And also, it is lurking in my mind that I have very little time. I have to do this thing, exercise as fast as possible. It is emotion, nothing else. I'm not afraid of dying. The day I die, everything is over. Why? Who cares? One day, पिए की बैठक and everything is over. Okay, you are a photo, your wife, your son, and your daughter. They will put a mala the day you died, and it's over. But this is not a problem. The problem is with yourself. You still think you can do many things and you have not much time. And this time is like, you don't know. It is today, it is tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, after a month, after 3 months, after 3 years, whatever it is. The point is, but then you try to finish as much as possible. When you start doing all this, you feel you have crunch of time. Time is time. Time is 3 years. But these 3 years, you think is long or short, depending on the state of your mind,
Hmm.
So this bothers, at least this is my way of thinking about it, That is why whenever I think of the old people and all that, and I believe that they don't really think too much about, they are very, very, happy. The day will come. But let the day come without much problem, No, that is the whole thing, That is the most important thing I have understood.
So we are almost the end of our podcast. So the last question I will ask you is the mind more curious about answers or questions?
This is the best question. The first question was the most difficult question, what is mind? And this is the best question. I think a good mind asks good questions. This is, I personally believe, I have written a book on this, that no personal questions, please. This is the title of my book, because we normally say, please, no personal questions, but I tell them, is there a question which is not personal? Then if it is not personal, why you are asking me? It is personal, that is why you are asking me. As far as your question is concerned, good question or answer. Mind asks questions. And once in a while, it asks very, very good questions. I ask myself, if I were to interview myself, would I select me for the job? I felt this was because when I started thinking about it, so many other questions came to my mind. Why should I take myself? Like it is a proprietor taking a CEO and he's appointing himself as a CEO. Whether he should do it because he is a proprietor, he has all the right to take a CEO. Whether he should take it or not, that is a good question. Answer a question will not arise in your mind if you don't have a faint idea of the answer. You have some idea of the answer. That is why you want better clarity, and that is why you ask a question. Suppose you are in a classroom. You are asking a question. A student is asking a question. He has a faint idea about a particular answer. And that is there in his mind, and he is not getting clarity in that. He's asking a particular question. So, questions and answers are also very much related to each other, and your mind does this job so very well, so very well. Before asking outside, he asks himself. Once he doesn't get the answer, or once he is not satisfied with the answer, once he wants to improve himself or herself, he goes to, suppose you write something and you are very happy with the answer, what was written. But still somewhere in your mind is there, if it had gone through ChatGPT, could have made it better. You go there, ChatGPT, the knowledge of all the networks and all that is also corroborating your thought process. And that is why questions and answers are so, and in our class, I will also end with this thing, our discussion. When I went to my classroom for the first time, as I told you my past, I was not one of the brightest. When I was taken as a lecturer, I was good. I was not one of the brightest. When I went to the classroom, when I was going to the classroom, I thought, can I face the brightest? Because the 50 people who are sitting in my class are the brightest. They have come from different places in our country, from the best schools, and they were class toppers, and they have come here. Can I go and face them? This question I asked. Then I realized I said, let me go and experience the answer myself. But if I would not have asked this question, if I did not know what is a classroom, what are students, why they come to because I had some pre-notion of the classroom, because I have been a student all my life. I think this is the best thing, is that what is more important, I don't know what is more important. Sometimes you ask a very simple question and you get a brilliant answer. And sometimes you ask a very, very good question and you don't get any answer. And I think, and this process will continue till we are alive. It will, whatever happens, classroom will remain, teachers will remain, students will remain, whatever are the methodologies. You may not have a teacher, you must have a mentor for you. That is all. As a teacher, I can tell you, that is all I have understood. And every day I am understanding something new. That delta thing makes your life much better.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.